V. Lenore, daughter, you cannot reason with unreasonable people. We'll talk about it after the 30. What's up, YouTube? This is Jay Wilson. Can you all hear me? Okay. What's up? This is Jay Wilson, and I hope you all are having a great Saturday. I kind of wanted to do this before I got my day started, and I want to say hello to everyone that's on Creole Butterfly, Libra Butterfly, whoever is on. I want to say hello. I was just listening to V. Lenore a few minutes ago, and she was on a panel with a few ladies, and Uppity was on that panel. And I really think that in 2024, there are some content creators who are really just cutting through the fluff and just really looking at the situation as is. I really do think there are some content creators to say, you know what, it's easy to make a coin being ignorant and, going with the game, but it's a new day. It's a new season. And so I believe that V. Lenora is one of those people. I will say this. If misunderstood goes to court, I ain't worried about a thing. Because if you haven't done anything wrong, there is nothing to worry about. Even if you receive pictures, it's not against the law to receive the pictures. Where the problem comes in is when you start distributing these pictures and all of this stuff. I was just told where to go see the pictures. And one thing that I'm clear about is whether I like you or not, the evidence is the evidence. I do not care how people characterize you. I don't care if people say you're crazy or if people say you're beautiful. I just let the evidence speak. But I noticed V. Lenore getting on that platform with those people. And before V. Lenore could say anything, the lady is already cutting V. Lenore up. And I'm like, really? I'm talking. And I'm like, who does that? And then you have Uppity there. And V. Lenore, I would have told you, girl, don't even click that link because you cannot reason with unreasonable people. And when people are reasonable, they want to listen to all sides of the story. You want to get all aspects of the story. Sometimes you can, and sometimes you cannot. Sometimes people will click on your link to explain, and sometimes they will not. Prime example, the Tracy and the Noble situation. Tracy spoke, Noble spoke. We heard both of them out. And from there, people could kind of gather what happened. Again, I'm not making that decision. The people make that decision. But V. Lenore, you're much too smart to be arguing with unreasonable people, people who don't even use logic, but emotions. It is not about if we like somebody or not. What is the evidence? What is the evidence? I like Kimmy. I like S. Hutchinson. I like Joyce. I don't really know if I like Benzone or not because I've never had a speaking relationship with Benzone. But from what I've seen, Benzone has always been respectful coming to my room. So I don't have a problem with Benzone. But what I'm not going to do is not see the evidence. And verbal is good, but verbal ain't concrete. But when you have concrete things such as voice messages and conversations, like Monique said, if I didn't take this Tyler Perry conversation, you all would have never believed me. And that's why I did it. Period. Because I need the evidence. And so I am seeing people put out a whole lot of evidence that's sparking other things, but it's not focusing on the thing that's at hand. And yes, it can be very surprising that these people are talking about other content creators and other content creators are getting a little perturbed and upset because their names have been mentioned. And I get it, but it does not take away from what was said. Also, I don't hate MU. I believe MU has done some things that is not congruent with who she says she is. Now, MU has never done anything to me personally, but some of the things she's done, I question. I question. Now, I am not here to shame MU, but MU has sent a lot of pictures out to people. MU has some sites that people could easily take those pictures from and send them. Now, I don't think it's right that people are sending these things in the manner that they may be sending them, but we got to really know who did it. And I think speculation is not good. And like I had to speak to Ken and Vic, you can't go accusing people of doing things without evidence. I am not a Beasley fan, but I'm not going to sit here and say Beasley sent those pictures. Because unless Vic was sitting there with Beasley and actually saw him hit that button or received something with Beasley's email, I don't care what he did in the past. We're talking about the now. No more than Ken, which I haven't heard from Ken lately, but Ken trying to tell Noble to troll Shelley. Now, we know that some people may like or may not like Shelley. And that don't have nothing to do with me. I am letting the evidence speak. I see V. Lenore. Hey, Jay Wilson, you are right, and I received the message. V. Lenore, could you please come up? Because I really want to know. Because I saw they were interrupting you, and they were. And let me say this: when people start interrupting, and when people start to insult and go low, that means they've already lost the argument. And I don't think we understand that. When people really do that, it means they lost the argument. Carly, I talk about what I want to talk about. And we can learn something from this. Carly, I hope you're learning something from this. I hope that you learn that you don't try to reason with unreasonable people, Carly, because there's a lesson to be learned. And whether I care or not, there's a lesson to be learned. And maybe, Carly, just maybe, you should know that you need to look at the evidence, Carly. So I'm really not concerned about XYZ, but I am really concerned about the lessons learned and how we view things and how we let emotions and people's popularity cloud our judgment and not look at the evidence. So, Carly, you're right. I don't care, but I do care how we view things. What's up, B. Lenore?
Hi, happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. So I saw a little bit of that clip, and when I saw who was on there, I'm like, "Ooh, V. Lenore, why you even click on that link?"
Yeah, I know. And honestly, it's what you said about in 2024. I said to myself, I have no interest in beefing with people and just sitting up fighting for no good reason. But I did click the link because of what Yaya said, and look, let me be clear. I don't have a problem with Face Yaya. She and I are good. We really are
Hmm.
good. But
Hmm.
I just felt as if she was like, look, I can be reasonable and look at both sides of a situation, and regardless of
Hmm.
how I feel about it, I can still see the truth of it. So I was just stating what I knew to be the facts and the truth, and somehow when she addressed me, she thought, oh, because you're beefing with MU, that's why you're saying that. No, I'm just saying in general. I felt as if that this situation was not an illegal situation. Was it immoral, unethical, whatever else you want to throw out there? Yes, I thought it was a nasty thing to do. But did I believe that it was illegal? No. And I just went up there really to address Yaya. And she and I think we had our little chat or whatever, got past it. But that uppity stuff, I can't do it. Like,
You
I
know
don't.
what?
Mm-mm,
It's crazy. And so, people are like, well, they ran you out the B sector. No, it's 2024. And I'm like, I did this for 5 years. And I'm like, if I can do anything again, and I keep on saying, either you're about peace or you're about strife, either you're a part of the problem or part of the solution. And
mm-hmm.
my thing is, I have really learned in this short period of doing this, truth don't make people happy because see, truth don't have no friendship. Truth
Yep.
is truth.
Yep.
When Deanna Irving had that information about me, it
Mm-hmm.
was true. It was true. Now I didn't go to Easy Cash. They act like I went to Easy Cash or Speedy Cash. No, it was with my mortgage company, and I put my payments behind. I knew I would have to do that, and I told the people why. I don't have a problem with that, and I'm really not upset to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
because damn it, that's the truth, and it is what it is. So I'm not going to sit here and lie about it. And
Mm-hmm.
so my thing is, the truth can be what it is. I don't have a problem with Kimmy. I think Kimmy is very entertaining. I really don't have a problem with Joyce. But the fact of the matter is those text messages
Mm-hmm.
said what they said.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tracy came back and said, no, this didn't happen. And so it's not about me liking you. It's not about me setting you up and being on someone's side.
Mm-hmm.
It's what was presented.
Right.
And what I'm seeing people present is about other things, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not about that thing. You,
But
you get
isn't
what I'm
that what
saying?
happens around here a lot? Like when somebody's supposed to come out here and show receipts, they're showing everything but the thing they said they were going to show you. That very same thing happened with me and Five Babe. She came out here to expose me, but I don't even know what she exposed. She exposed that we would send each other text messages back and forth about stuff on beef in the beef sector. So what? I didn't do anything to anyone. I didn't do anything to her. And I thought that's what they were going to expose, but they didn't. What they did was try to kick up mess in other ways to get other people to attack the person thereafter. And I always see that is the big strategy for a lot of the folks. They
Well,
never have the receipts.
my thing is this. It's really about evidence now. Vic came in talking about Beasley send it, and again, I'm not a Beasley fan, but I'm not going to sit here and say that that man did it. I mean, you can't do that. And then Ken, it was a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think this year, I think some content creators. I can't speak for all, but I know a few that are saying I'm not going along with this rah 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 and the salaciousness of this, but what is the truth really behind this stuff? What
Yeah.
are people saying? What evidence do we have? And the sad part about it is a lot of people are being exposed,
Hmm.
which they would have never been exposed, but because they're attacking now, people are getting dirty, it's getting low, and here we are. And I'm like you, I don't have time to argue with people. People are telling me what people said. I'm like, okay, so what did you do?
Hmm.
And if I'm not stressed about it, why are you stressed about it? And what is your motive for even telling me? I do have YouTube and I can see who does what. But am I always interested in what people are saying? No, because I think some people want that, but it is what it is. I think there's some lessons to be learned from this, V. Lenore, because again, I'm not with the fluff. And when you went up there, I'm like, oh, I'm just like, and then uppity. It's just like, so with the Ken situation, uppity came up. And I was kidding. I'm like, well, Ken, what are you doing texting a man at 1:41 a.m.? I'm kidding. Boy, here comes uppity on that. That's the same thing I was asking, and I'm like, but again, you have to be very careful, because these people are really about strife. And I think that's a lot. And no one is really running away. No one is leaving the beef sector or anything. I think people, and I can't speak for V. Lenore, I can only speak for myself. I think people are transitioning away from that. It's like, how
Yes.
can I participate but not be a part of this foolishness? And I think the best thing is to do the commentary of saying, okay, what is the truth? And I really think that when people take these stances, I'm team this or I'm team that, they
Mhm,
don't see the big picture because they're so taken about by the person and the dislike of the other person.
mhm. Yep. Yep.
And I'm seeing that a lot. So, but yeah. And let me say this, you all, me and V. Lenore have had our ups and downs, truly had our ups and downs. But my thing is, I don't take people virtually seriously. I never had any intent or to do anybody any harm or act up. And I think in this season, I have put the actor, the Jay Wilson of slapstick away.
Mhm,
And it's really Jay Wilson of I'm not a dumb person and I'm looking at things critically. And I'm not with the kicks and giggles anymore because at the end of the day, everybody can't take it. And I'm just learning that and I said this earlier, we're dealing with a lot of fragile people. And
mhm,
when you break fragile people, now they can throw stuff at you, but when fragile people break, they
mhm,
become sharp and they want to cut and they want to get back. And again, it shouldn't happen on YouTube, but
mhm.
this is why we get the doxing and showing up at people's churches and all, and it doesn't make any sense. And so I'm just throwing that on out there. And this is what happened. So Villanora, what is your change, and what was your decision to say, what, I'm through, let me do something different? Because I know that you've talked about it a little bit.
Yeah. Towards the end of last year in particular, I just felt like, and this is just me, my personal feelings. To be quite honest, I'm not even watching the beef sector as much as I, have in the past. And so by the end of last year, I was like, okay, I want to build up my content on my main channel. I don't like the energy that I feel a lot of times when I'm engaging in some of our beef sector content. I like I like people from the beef sector. I still consider
Mhm,
myself a part of the beef sector, but I don't like the energy sometimes. I had to question myself, like, why are you here? Why do you want to see people fight? And do you really want to fight with people? And why? It's kind of like,
mhm,
why am I here? What benefit am I receiving from it? And it just is not serving me the way that it used to. So I
mhm.
said, let me do content that I feel more passionate about. And that's what I'm attempting to do, in 2024. And
Mhm.
I've acquired a new audience based upon some of the subject matter thus far, and I'm happy about that. And that's where I think I need to put the most of my energy. Doesn't
Yeah,
mean I won't come over here and say a little something here and there. I
yeah,
probably will,
yeah,
but because I'm out here and I still enjoy some of the content creators, and I'm going to be in their chats from
yeah.
time to time. But I
Yeah,
don't
I
really
agree.
like.
I agree. Hold on for a minute, Villanor. We have Rodney up real quick. What's
Oh,
up, Rodney?
Hey, how y'all
Rodney,
doing? Hey, Lenore, how you doing, sweetheart?
good.
Um, I was not for cutting y'all off, but I was looking at the debate of you and Fates on the platform, and I can kind of not kind of agree with you. I agree with you, Lenore, because if it's on a public website like Pornhub and things like that, any and everybody have access, to those sites. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
This is not a restricted um
Right. They
it's not a
say you have
restrict
to be 18 and over, but
yeah,
that's the only restriction, and they can't even verify that. You know what I mean?
right, right. So now let's say for instance, if it was like on OnlyFans or something like that where they getting paid and OnlyFans, they have a feature on there that you can't use the pictures for any, you can't use them on at
Uh,
any given month or in any other places. So if
mhm.
that would have came off a place like OnlyFans or something, then she would have a case, I believe, because you didn't get permission to take those news off of that site and share them with everybody.
Well, here's the thing.
So
I'm not even so sure that she would have a case. So here's the thing. When you take pictures like that, or, someone takes your picture for the purposes of paying you for it, you typically sign a waiver. You do that a lot. And like I
right,
mentioned yesterday on my live, even on my job, for instance, I work for a nonprofit agency. I have to sign a waiver to say that they can use my photographs. If they come in and I'm teaching a class, or they see me doing an activity, they can take that picture of me and they can use it however they feel free. They can
right,
share it. They can sell it. They can do whatever they want to do with it. Once I have agreed to it, I'm done.
right,
So
right,
so that's what I'm saying in this particular case. If she was actually paid for those pictures, and when I say payment could have come in different forms. She said that the reason why she did those types of pictures was because she was feeding her addiction. So if that is the case, then that sounds like it was a transactional situation. And if that is the case, she turned over her rights to that photo to
right.
whoever she gave it to. You know what I mean? So
Now, if she would have gave those pics to a certain somebody for their eyes only,
right,
and it leaked, then
right,
yes, then she would have a case against that person because they was for your eyes only, and
right.
this. You see what I'm saying? So, but if it's out here on just old random, website or a video or something like that, then no, I don't know. It's not a case there. It's not a case there at all.
Now,
Yeah.
and that's why I said maybe the attorney, if she has an attorney, can find a loophole in there somewhere, or maybe they're fighting against it just for principle's sake. Because honestly, that is how laws, happen. That's how
Right,
laws get changed. People fight, 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 even though, there may not be a legal justification behind it.
Yeah.
But if they're fighting for that, so be it. Good for you. Do that,
Yeah.
because I
And I,
think
but,
that
but
at
let
the
me
end of
say
the day,
this,
people
Vila.
should be harassed out here.
Yeah, Vila, and let me say that you got to be very careful who you accuse of doing things. And I think that was the biggest problem that I had because a lot of people's names came up,
Yeah,
and I'm like, I have nothing to do with
out
this.
there.
And I'm like, why, and people were hitting me up, and that's the reason why I really, and again, I know it's true because MU came in and said, well, I'm glad to hear that, but I'm like, well, shouldn't you come to me? It's like you have my email. So all you had to do was email me and say, "Hey, Jay Wilson, have you done this and the third?" And I would have been able to say, "No, I haven't done anything of this sort." But again, I think, accusing people of doing one thing is something else. And this is why I think we have the big issue now. Um, and let me say this, you all, everybody has issues,
hey
but
Teresa, how you doing?
what's up, Tracy? But I'm really not concerned. They want to go to Shelley's mental, they want to go to a lot of stuff. And it's not about that. It's really about the evidence. And I always tell people, let the evidence speak. Let me go to one. I like beach. I like beach. I really like beach. I don't have a problem with beach. But do I think that beach had an issue and an altercation with that person? Yes. But do I think it was to the point that it was that deep? I'm like, I'm not sure, because if this man pulled your hair, had your face in the mud, was beating you down, kicking your door, baby, he would be handcuffed and gone.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you've given me some evidence that this may have happened,
Mm-hmm.
but for what the extreme stuff you said he did, I don't think so. I,
Mm-hmm.
I don't see the evidence pointing towards that. That's me personally. And it has nothing to do if I like beach or not.
Mm-hmm.
It's the evidence that she has. So I don't want people to conflate liking to speaking truth
Exactly.
or what evidence that I have.
Yeah.
But you know
Does
what?
that make sense? Does that
Yep.
make sense? And
Right.
I'm just saying,
Yes.
because people think that it's personal, and
Yep.
it's really not personal.
Well,
But
that was
I am
fantastic.
finding out, telling the truth, it don't make you friendly with folk, or it doesn't feel good because again, people think, well, Look, the truth is the truth. I owe truth loyalty. I don't owe anybody else loyalty but the truth. And my thing is, it's not always going to be popular. If something were to happen to somebody I don't like, I may not like them, but I'm not going to lie.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? I'm looking at the evidence, and I think that's the biggest thing with me, and that's where I'm going. Go ahead, V. Lenore, and then Rodney.
No, I was just going to say, I completely agree with you. I think when that was the whole situation with me and Fates, when she was like, "Yo, you just hate misunderstood." That's what you said. No, first of all, I don't hate misunderstood. Two, she and I are not beefing. Okay. And three, I was just going based upon the situation. What are the facts that we know them to be? And what have people said, to verify those facts? And based on the facts, I just don't see that that was a crime. It may have been
Okay, and you
wrong,
know
But
what?
you,
Things
but you
can
know,
change.
crime.
Things can change. There could be evidence presented that could change the whole thing. But
That's
right now,
true.
right,
it's not presented. And so it's
Yeah,
not like, hey, if it's presented, then it changes the whole situation. But
I agree.
and then you got to look at people's track record. What have they done in the past? And you got to look at certain things. And I don't think anyone is really innocent in this because again, like Rodney said, you got stuff out there, you got stuff floating out there.
Mhm,
And when she came into my platform, I guess it made her upset. But I'm like, no, you really got stuff floating out there. We can't deny the fact that stuff is floating out there. Now, and that don't mean I don't like you. You
mhm,
got stuff floating out there. And maybe during your addiction, you just didn't care and you put it out there.
mhm.
And I get it
Edge.
because you weren't in your right mind, but it's out there. You cannot deny that fact.
Right.
Okay. Rodney's gone. Somebody said from the sounds of where the pics were found, it sounds like they were from an illegal dark um
Site.
porn website, FBI monitoring sites like that too. And you know what? That could be the case.
Yeah.
It could be the case as well. But I'm just I
Mhm,
think this has mushroomed into a lot of stuff. And do you see now, V. Lenora, how this stuff has just monstered and morphed
mhm,
from a little situation to
mhm.
something big? you
Yeah.
know MU and Benz was dating, and MU sent Benz pictures, and
Mhm.
then from there it morphed to Benz sent Teresa the pictures, and then
Yeah.
it's like no she didn't. And so I think we just have to really be careful and look at this stuff. And there are no friends on YouTube, people. and
Well,
and
oh,
and I'm gonna say this, and I always say it with a caveat. If you have friends on YouTube, and if you really care about your friendship, you really need to keep it close to the cuff, because people's whole job is to rip up. You see how people try to rip up relationships and everything else. And at the end of the day, on Mad Day, people do a whole lot of stuff. And some things you think are very insignificant, people will use it or try to use it and slant it. I've seen it. It has happened to me. And this is why now I'm standing back, because I'm not new to it. I'm true to it. And this is why I can really sit back and say, okay, we need to look at this, because in past this person has done this or this person has said this. And so I think we need to look at that. Go ahead, V. Lenore.
well, I was just gonna say, and look, uh, I'm just,
sorry about that, y'all. I had a phone call.
Okay, go ahead, V. Lenore.
I'm just curious. And Tracy, look, I'm not coming for you at all. I'm just curious. How did you feel, Tracy, when I mean, someone says that you said offline that they came from Ben's, and you're saying no, that's not true, and you showed us where you got them from. How do you feel that somebody would have said that about you and that not be true? Like, to me, that makes me look at, if it were me, I would look at a lot of things differently and wonder how many other times have I been lied to or lied on, for that matter.
And
So
you know what gives me too, V. Lenore, that people are willing to uphold certain things.
yes,
And
that I don't.
I go back to the Ken situation. I don't know Ken's situation in this. But when Ken was telling me that he spoke to Noble and Noble told him this, I'm like, okay, when? And why would Noble sit with Shelley and say that they had no conversation except in the back chats and on that platform?
Mhm.
Shelley never lied that she gave Noble the phone number, but he never used it. And I said, so why would Noble lie? And that would discredit Noble. And I said, I would love for Noble to come up here and tell us that he did this, because you're saying that he did, and you had this conversation. But what bothered me was then Ken at 1:41 a.m. hitting Noble up talking about trolling Shelley. And I'm like, well, that's just like planting evidence. And I'm like, I got a problem with that. So if you've done that to Shelley, well, who else the hell have you done it to? And see, it gets me to thinking,
Exactly.
why would you do this? Why would you plant this? And I look at that kind of stuff, and it bothers me, because you're trying to discredit a person, but how you're trying to do it is not the right way.
Can I can
And
I
and
But
again, and I don't have to like that person at all. But I'm just saying, I don't have a problem with Ken, but I'm not going to sit here and act like I didn't see what happened. V. Lenore, Tracy said, what was the question? And then I'll let you go, and then Rodney. Go ahead, V. Lenore.
No, I was asking Tracy, how do you feel that someone, if you're saying A, that you didn't have a conversation offline about these pictures coming from Ben's, how do you feel about someone saying that you in fact said offline that the pictures came from Ben's? Like
Okay.
why would that be okay? It would never be okay. I could never be cool with the person who said I did something that I didn't do. And then I would question, why are they doing that? And if they're doing it here, surely it's happened before. Because let me give you an example real quick. Jay Wilson, do you remember when MU and I were going back and forth? And I guess someone texted you and said that MU is going to share my financial situation or whatever, which MU knows nothing about my finances, to be quite honest. She doesn't know anything about anything where I'm concerned. But when the evidence came out that supposedly MU had said this about me, that she was going to reveal something about my finances, the proof was a text that was sent to you to say this is going to come out. That's not a that's not evidence. That's possibly someone stirring a pot.
Okay. So Tracy said, I don't
but
feel any type of way because I cleared it up, babe. Okay. So if they cleared it up, they cleared it up.
But did the person clear it up with you, Tracy?
She said they cleared it up, and I'm not here to stir up the pot, but I'm here to say that there are a lot of things that have happened where I really question people. Somebody said I can't answer why it was said to begin with. I don't think anybody can answer that question. Well, I think they can,
I
but
can.
but it depends on what they want to do. But you all. Um, there are a lot of things that have happened in these YouTube streets that I saw that I said I just need to really step back. The cruise was one. Now I'm not going to rehash cruise stuff for because we really didn't have a problem on the cruise. We had a great time, but I was just surprised at some things that I found out that I did not know, and it really bothered me. Tracy and Muse situation should have been kept private. I just don't think if you're going to give somebody money, you shouldn't say anything. Now, if Tracy reneged and didn't pay that payment, then I think MU has every right to air her out. But to do it before and then to have information coming out, that I questioned that, and I'm like, "Ooh, that ain't right," and it didn't leave me with a good feeling. And again, to even say that Tracy was not a good friend. Let me tell you something again. This is what I know. I cannot say things that I don't know, but I do know that Tracy was frantic when MU was missing for 5 hours. Now, I can tell you that. And I know that Tracy was calling me, and Tracy was not calling me on a daily basis or hourly basis when we got on the cruise. She wasn't. But she was concerned. She said, Jay Wilson, I know that MU and you kind of kicked it off. Have you seen her? Has she been hanging around with her? I'm like, no, Tracy, I have not seen her. And so I just can't take it that a person who's looking for you um, is gonna try to sabotage you. And Tracy was very protective And the people who were pieces were very protective of MU. I mean, because they didn't want her to be harassed or anything. So again, I look at that kind of stuff and then I see what happened. And I don't think I'm stirring up mess because again, even when they were going through that situation in California, I wanted them to resolve the issue because I knew that people were trying to tear it up. And so again, MU pictures, all of this stuff. Uh,
Well, you
it,
know
it,
what?
it puts questions in my mind. That's all.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Um, if she do go, if MU go before a judge, about this, that judge is gonna say where did the pictures come from, and who sent the pictures over, to Teresa. You said that judge is gonna want to know the specific person that did that. And if you got all these, hesitations that, oh well, this person did it or that person did it, blah, that judge is gonna dismiss that case and be like, look, you're not, making yourself clear of who sent the picture over. So
But
you
wait,
don't have a
it's
case.
not illegal to send a picture to anybody unless
Yeah,
it's a child situation. If it's not a
right,
child situation,
right. Now I'm just saying if it was to go that way.
yeah, yeah.
And my
Yeah,
And
thing
if
I'm
it
is,
was
just
to
you
go
saying,
can
that
be,
way.
and
even
we
if it
gotta
goes
be.
that way, the issue is not that it was sent to someone else; it was the publishing of it. You see what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
So I don't know how much the judge will care about that, except for the fact that if that site is a dark web sort of situation and it shouldn't, and someone randomly put it out there or whatever, like I'm sure that like I've heard other people talk about this. The forensics will come back and say, what's really going on and where this picture was circulated. But and so if that's wrong, it's wrong. But I don't
Yeah,
think that was the issue. You know what I'm saying?
right.
And I think
Yeah,
you're right,
and
in Lenore. See, this is why when you haven't done anything, this is why you don't fret because they do have ways to find out who had what and who said what. I mean, come on, these people can get IP addresses and they can go back and they can do those things.
yeah, but
So
what I'm saying, if it was used for malicious intent, you know what I'm saying? If it was actually revenge porn, that judge is gonna want to know who did it. You see what I'm
But
saying?
that's the thing. That who did it is the person who published it.
Oh, okay, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
It's
and I think that's the big thing. And I think we really need to think long term before we start messing with the court's time.
Mhm.
Because again, you can have so many cases, but that case, one case already didn't go too well for you. And I think you just gotta watch that kind of stuff.
Three.
Three?
Hmm.
Oh my God. Okay. See, I didn't know all of that, Villanor.
That's
Three
why
cases.
That's why I said on my live, I was like, look, every time, she's gone into the court, she hasn't been fully prepared. And I've told her, like, you're in the wrong courtroom and what are you trying to accomplish? That kind of thing. So when that third one happened, I was flabbergasted because I found
we would never know. We would never know who did what. It is what it is.
yeah.
Yeah, but this is when I start saying that,
Okay, I'm gonna step down, y'all.
okay, this is when I'm saying that you got to really watch it. There are some things that have happened to me, and I'm like, okay, let me check because, again, I'm not here to waste court's time.
Yeah.
But I think when something crossed the line, that people really, really need to be vigilant about it because it needs to be a lesson to people that you can't go on and do this. And I think, again, people don't have power in their own lives and they use this. I don't know if they think they're Alexis or Dominique Devereaux from Dynasty and they want to ruin people's lives. And I just, I think it has to be a stop. YouTube is YouTube and harassment is harassment. And I see a lot of this stuff going on. And I think people go right up to the line to
Mhm.
do some criminal things. But I think in time, the law is going to catch up with this virtual harassment. And I don't care who you are, whether I like you or not. I'm just saying it is fair warning to all of us that keep your stuff on YouTube. Make sure this stuff is not criminal.
Mhm.
And that's my thoughts about that.
I just don't
And
care enough about people virtually to want to destroy someone. Like, I
that,
don't even
that's
understand that.
I can't. I couldn't understand for the life of me why they would even try to go after King Roman of all people. I'm like, are you jealous because the man is working? I
Right.
mean, really, what is really going on here?
Right.
And I know that we've had a lot of fallouts and stuff, but that's some weak stuff to me. That's some really weak stuff. But again, you cannot reason with unreasonable people.
You're right.
And this is one reason why I said, I don't argue with unreasonable people anymore, because unreasonable people do unreasonable things.
That's
And so it's not, look, people like, well, you scared? No, no, no. I just learned that you don't deal with unreasonable people because they do unreasonable things and they really don't think about the long-term implications of their actions, and that action may catch up with them one day and may land them in jail.
yeah.
And I ain't never been there. So I'm not trying to go. And not to go, that means that I need to really step back from a lot of these people.
Yeah.
Somebody said, but wasn't she trying to destroy a person by putting their pictures out in the beef sector? Blind spot? I don't know. And there's a lot of time, there's a lot of things that people are doing. So I do not know that blind spot. And I'm like V. Lenore. I don't have a problem with commenting on some beef sector stuff.
Mhm.
But I think you're either part of the problem, part of the solution, and let's talk about what it should be like. And it's not very popular for people who like it. And one thing I will say to V. Lenore, I'm not trying to shame folk. If you want to do this, continue to do it. But I do think that there are some content creators who say, well, you can do it, but this is not what we're going to do. And again, people will talk about this too. And everybody has a right to talk about it. But I just think that some people are saying, hey, I'm going a different way because this stuff right here is not good energy and it's not in a good place, and I think you feel the same way that
Yeah.
I really do about this.
Yeah. It really started to look, especially during the pandemic, we were, I think that's what really sucked me in. Like I had been watching obviously prior to the pandemic, but when the
Hmm.
kid and you have all this extra time and you're in your home, you don't have much to do. I really got sucked in. And I was already dealing with negative energy because you're looking at what's going on in the world, everything's so uncertain. But as we moved out of that space, I had to really ask myself at the end of last year, I was like, why what enjoyment, what are you getting out of this, out here
Hmm.
arguing and cussing with folks and all? What is that doing for you? It's doing
Hmm.
for me but making me more bitter about things, and I
Hmm.
figure I'm better than that. I don't I That's not who I am as a person. I really like people and I enjoy, look, I don't have a problem with us having a debate on a matter, but people don't want to debate out here. They really just want to fight. So,
That's it.
so I'm like, I gotta just move a different way. I gotta focus on the type of content that makes me happy or that interests me. Hopefully, I will attract like-minded people, and I'm just gonna, do that. But again, I'm not disowning the beef sector because I still consider myself a part of it. But
Hmm.
I think that I will pick and choose how and what I comment on.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that people have left the beef sector and they have really said some disparaging things about it. And I've never done that. I thought it was a really good sector at the beginning, but I just see what it has morphed into. And I'm like, but my thing is there are some content creators who said, hey, I am going to go a different way. And I
Yeah.
think people can still be in the sector, but not do what a lot of the sector does. And one thing is, again, to argue with people. So if I have a disagreement with V. Lenora, we can have a conversation like we're having now.
Mhm.
And I don't have to attack her or anything, or yeah, because we did it and we did it. We did it. We sure did do it. So my thing is, I don't deny that. However, to me, it was comedy. I didn't know V. Lenore personally, and I would say XYZ and go on with it. But now it's to the point where, no, that worked for a season, but now it's time to go. Somebody said, we know damn well you ain't got that suit on. I don't know what this person is, reanimator. I don't know who she or he is. So I don't understand what you're saying or what you're talking about. Be clear. Be clear. I'm not upset, but if you're going to even insult me, at least be clear with your insults. Paulette Waters, Stay Line, said, I don't think anyone leaves. If you do beef sector content, you're still in it. No, I think people make the decision of what they want to do.
Exactly.
I think people make the decision of what they want to do. And like I said, if I leave, it's because I'm not pushed out. It's because I think it's time to do something different.
Yeah.
I was always accused of needing the beef sector for a coin. And now, it may not be popular and I may not have a lot of people. And now people want to say that. And it's really interesting, though, when I had Tracy and Noble in, then all of a sudden the attacks came. So I like I said, I don't ever want anybody to occupy space in my mind
Mm-hmm.
that deep that when I'm gone or something happened, I still got to talk about it. And
Mm-hmm.
notice, I don't talk about a whole lot of people, even if I don't agree with them, because it's not worth it. And even when they are talking, I don't have to. And so I think, like V. Lenore said, there are a lot of things going on in the world right now that we really need to be paying attention to.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, we have a lot of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs being dismantled, and people are losing their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a lot of stuff going on that we need to be paying attention to. And I'm not beating the beef sector up, but I hope while you're watching the beef sector stuff that
You
you're
watch
watching
work
what's
too.
really going on in the world.
Yeah. Because look, it almost feels like we about to repeat history again. God.
Again, and people don't see it, but
Oh
I'm like,
my
look at what these people are saying. Look what
God.
people are saying, and then you got black people who are grifters and agreeing with these people
Right.
just to get along.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, look at what's really going on. And so I know what we're talking about today, but I will say this: what Kimmy did or did not do, I ain't gonna deal with any legislation that's going on here in Texas. Okay, I'm just saying
Right.
it's not gonna affect my life that deep. The only thing I'm saying is we can learn from this,
Yeah.
and I think, and like I said, according to the evidence, and this is to the evidence because evidence can change. It would have been just cool to say, you know what, I misspoke, my bad, and it would have been over. But since it has not happened that way, I think it has morphed into a whole lot of stuff. And like I told my followers, the subscribers earlier, that I don't need to know about Joyce's financial problems. I
Right.
don't need to know if somebody bought food for her. But unfortunately, it's coming out because now this stuff has gotten so ugly and people are doing all of this stuff. And again, these are people that you like.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want anything to happen to people that you like. But I do know when these situations start off like this is how they usually end. And everybody wound up being hurt and bloody. And if there is a victor, they're so weak that it's like, well, dad, y'all done tore each other down. And I think that's the biggest thing. You're part of the problem or solution. And that's why I was asking, could y'all reconcile this? Could y'all be diplomatic and go to your corners? And now I think that we've gone so far that it will be a long time before anyone can say, okay, I'm good. I just don't have nothing to say to this person. I'm good. And this is why you try to rectify the situation before it gets too deep. And now it's really deep.
Yeah.
Now it's really pretty deep. So again, I'm with V. Lenore. I don't hate anybody on YouTube.
Yep.
I am not team anybody on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
If something were to happen and if the receipts are receding, they just recede. Now you can either address it or not address it, and that's a whole thing too. This is not the court of law. This is not civil court. You don't have to say nothing, and you can keep it moving. You really can. But I think that now a lot of people are just piling in on it. And V. Lenore, do you see how people just pile in on it
Yeah.
and just keep it going and
Yeah.
keep it going? I was looking at Demetra Lit all day, and let me tell you something. As Demetra Lit all day is, she said all I read was a bunch of mess from Shelley, and she said it was boring mess at that. And she said, and that's what y'all trying to hype up. She said it's a nothing burger. She said it's all of this hype and it ain't nothing. And people act like it's something, but it's still not addressing the fact at hand. It's still not addressing the issue at hand. And
Yep.
and I feel like Demetra Lit all day. I mean, we hyping stuff up that ain't really to be hyped. And
Right.
truly, what it proves is that there's no conspiracy. Because I was I was implicated again with being in a conspiracy to get Jay Dunn thrown in jail. And I'm the one who telling Jay Don, chill out, Jay Don. I'm not in no conspiracy. I
Yeah.
mean, but it shows you that there is none. And even with this Ben situation, and what Shelley is saying is just throw out all the text. I don't have a problem with throwing out all the text. Throw out all the text.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to say this in debate and speech, when you have to start attacking the other person,
Mm-hmm.
and when it gets to the point of personal attacks, that
Mm-hmm.
means you've lost the argument already.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree. I'm telling you, for me, this was deja vu. I'm telling you. People are like, I'm going to expose you. And I'm like, yes, please bring on the exposing, shall we? And it comes out here and it's a bunch of nothing. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, come on, people. Why? But that's what people want. They want an excuse to fight. And people want an excuse to jump in, or maybe they don't like that person, and this is their opportunity to go after them to, to get on a bandwagon so that they can truly attack a person. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, but I don't like it. It's not the energy that is who I am, and I just feel like I don't want to participate on that
Yeah,
level.
it's crazy, and some things you don't even respond to. People are. I was laughing when people said that Tracy was calling me to see if I can uh, babysit Noble. I'm
What?
like, what? And
Not
people
baby
had that out there. I'm like,
noble.
Noble's a whole grown man. And why am I going, hello, people work. So why am I going to be, are you serious? And again, I had to laugh at that. But people throw everything to the wall to see what's going to go ahead and stick. And
Yeah.
I'm like, no, we're not doing that. And I think Paulette Water State Line, I think you're right. I think people really have some illnesses that are not diagnosed. And I think people really need to go check that out. I truly believe that if you do not take care of your childhood trauma, it will morph into your adult life. And I think a lot of people are using YouTube for that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing a lot of destructive behavior. You have a whole woman saying that she gets $1,000 a week and that she's this and this and this, but yet still don't have her two front teeth. Now
Yeah.
that's no shade, but that's real. You know, I mean, you know, and I just think that it's really interesting that again people are strife starters, and you have to realize that. And I just look and listen. Um,
Let me say this too. You mentioned about mental illness, and you're right. There is a lot of that out here. Some of which some people are even sharing. They are vocal about it. But on the flip side, while we have picked on misunderstood for her addiction, the truth is there's a whole lot of people addicted to drugs or alcohol out here, and we hear it every
mhm.
night. They're drunk, but we use it, that we sit there and we listen to it for entertainment purposes, but that's that person's real life. They are truly destroying themselves. And
People
we
are
hear
doing pills. They spraying spray
pills.
on them for money, honey. It's just a lot.
Wait, what?
It's
What'd you
baby,
say?
people are spraying money spray on them to get money. I'm just saying it's a
What's
lot of
money
stuff.
spray?
Look, V. Lenore, you got to go back in history. And for the folk who know what I'm talking about,
What's
they know what I'm talking about.
spray?
Baby, people are spraying lucky money spray on them to get some money.
Wait,
Child,
is
it's
that
a lot.
Dolby, or is this a hoodoo thing, or is that what you're saying?
Baby, I don't know what it is, but
Oh Lord.
it's a lot of mental stuff going on, and it is what it is. But this is why I tell you, I don't try to reason with unreasonable people.
Mhm.
And I think a lot. Let me say this: I do know that it was a lot of roasting and gagging in the past, and it really didn't bother me. I was as you can see with the popcorn. I'm very competitive, and again, V. Lenore, I done stole popcorn money according to the people. I done stole popcorn money, but
How
I'm
do you
very
feel about the people going so deep and investigating all that? Like what?
You know what? It does, but let me say that it really doesn't matter. I'm going to let the church really handle this because when you've done nothing wrong
Mhm.
and when you don't have issues, you let it ride. I really do, B. Lenore. The thing is, I just hope now if the church wants to press charges again, I'm going to say go ahead. I'm
But
going to agree that they do.
what do you think that they did that what did they do? I guess maybe that's the question. Were they
Well,
caught?
my thing is this though. It's me that you really have a problem with. You don't have a problem with the church. You have a problem with me. That's
Right,
the whole thing.
right.
But, you know, had I not reached my popcorn goals, then I guess they would have rejoiced in that, but I did. And a lot of people got it. And I guess that made them upset. I don't know. And then all of a sudden you're stealing the popcorn money. I had a store, but all of that went to the church and they want to know that the church get the roof and all of this stuff. And my thing is that, this is the organization. We were gearing towards that. I'm not on the board.
Mm-hmm.
And believe it or not, just because you attend the church, that doesn't mean you have joined the church.
Yeah.
And again, it's a lot of things going on.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I would have a problem with is that church does a lot of crisis counseling.
Mm-hmm.
They do a lot of food bank, feeding the people. They do a lot of work with the LGBTQIA community. And so, to tie up their phones with this kind of stuff is
Oh, I
not
see.
conducive.
Okay.
And that was my only concern. And so, again, no big whoop to me. I just think it's crazy that people will do that, but that's what they do.
Did they
I
come back
can.
to the church say
Uh,
anything to you
how,
at
how,
all?
what do you
Church.
say? What do you say, V. Lenore? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I said, did the church say anything to you, or did they or did you just hear that people were inquiring out on YouTube?
They've discussed some things.
Okay, okay.
And I'm,
Sorry
I
that
really
happened.
just no, that's okay. I just keep it to the cuff because they're gonna make their decision of what they're going to do. So I
Sure.
just keep it to the cuff. I'm just sorry that people have to do that, but that's what people's content are. That's how they feel. And again, I could never hate someone that much to do that. It's just not in me. I
No,
just don't do stuff
and
like
I
that.
believe in karma, like for real, for real. I believe
Mhm.
reap what you sow, and I'm not trying to do something to somebody that I don't want done to me.
Yeah, people are saying I'm reaping what I'm sowing, and I'm like, really? And then of course they always bring up the Tracy thing, and I'm like, me and Tracy have that resolved. I said, was it petty? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But was it against the law? No. And I used to tell people, call the police. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that's a public street. I mean, I can easily go and say that's where Elvis Presley lived. You can't arrest me because I say that's where Elvis Presley lived, but I could not tell you today where Tracy's apartment, her unit is, because I've never been. Never been. So, that's how I look at it. And then, of course, we get to Deanna Irving's old homes, but she don't live there. You dox her. Well, if you knock on those doors now, she won't be there to either of the houses. But again, it was embarrassing, I guess. And you know me, maybe I had a good time. I was talking about them color purple houses and that big old lake in the front. I had a good time. I'm about to laugh at it again. But see, that pissed the person off. But no one ever talks about the people who really showed where she currently lives, and with the address and all of that stuff. See, that's serious. And again, I hear that, but it is what it is. Jay Wilson, is VS going to call the unemployment office on Ness? It's pathetic. I don't know. I did hear that Ness lost her job. And so
I hate that.
I don't really have anything nasty to say about it. I don't, because I'm not there. Um, People lose their jobs, and again, it's not important to you until it happens to you. And I keep on saying that, and people don't believe me, but it's not important to you until it happens to you. And once it happens to you, then you realize the gravity of it. That's why I could not sit there and laugh at King Roman,
No.
because I thought it was appalling that an intelligent individual like him, who has worked on his job, very vigorous in going to work, and then someone does this to him because of a YouTube fallout.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
First of all,
That's
I didn't
ridiculous.
know who King Roman was into it with for that to happen. Like, who? Why did that happen to him? Like, I don't even understand who he was fighting with. To be quite honest, I didn't even see him fighting.
You
So I
see,
was
that's the
very
whole
confused
thing.
by all of that.
But it was a mess, and he was pretty upset about it. And
Sure.
but see, it doesn't matter. And this is what I tell people: it doesn't matter if you are loved or hated. These people just have some really low self esteem. And this is what they do, or they try to justify it by saying I'm crusading against these people and all of this. And to me, I consider YouTube, when I was doing it, just like me doing stand-up comedy. Yes, I'm gonna cuss. Yes, I'm gonna say XYZ. I like what Monique said. She said Monique with the hyphen is my stage name, but Monique without the hyphen is who I am. And then Shay Shay followed up with, well, how much of that stage is really Monique?
Uh-huh.
And she said that, but she said, the cussing and all of that stuff and da 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 da. She said that's not really me. She said, some of that is, and I think people don't realize that. And we were on the cruise ship, and we had a good time because we you notice, and V. Lenora, you're familiar with gospel, and that song said, "Let the works I've done speak for me."
Uh-huh.
Everything that I've done in the beef sector, whether it's events or fundraisers, it's always been above board. It's always been on the up and up. I know people want to have me as a person who scammed, but again, when we didn't have that Labor Day event, it wasn't a question to give people their money back. It
Uh-huh.
was only ethical that you do that. I never had an issue with that. Growing up in church, I know what happens when you take people money and don't do what you say you're gonna do. You split your church, and you have issues. So I look at that, even with the popcorn and all of that stuff, and I just sit back and laugh because it seems like the people who are always accusing people of scamming are always the ones who are scamming. And I just think it's funny, but maybe it's deflection or projection, but that's how they do it. And so I think that's everyone in the sector. But from what I see, truth is truth, and just do what you got to do with the truth. And truth don't make everybody happy.
That's right.
Sometimes it pisses people off.
Right.
It may piss me off, but it is what it is,
Right.
and I just think that when you stand up for it, that's the big thing. And I noticed that it's not going to make people happy.
Mm-mm.
The Monique situation really said a lot to me. I really kind of thought back to the beef sector when she said, had I not taped Tyler Perry, people wouldn't have believed me. And
Yeah.
then when she said that she shared it with Al Sharpton, and he was supportive, but then the next thing you know, she hadn't heard from him,
Yeah.
and he was saying that he flew in Tyler Perry's private jet.
Yeah.
And I think she was saying that people get paid off.
Yeah.
People get paid off, and I see a lot of that in the sector as well. Um,
Yeah.
I'm still very upset with the Christian Keys situation because he came up and he did all of this. He was so angry and upset, and he was going to do this and that, and he ain't done a darn thing. And my thing is, you have really hurt the victim and victimized the victims again, because you could have easily filed a police report. And this is why I give Cassie and Paula Abdul at least props for filing the charges. But I don't have any respect for Christian Keys, because even though what he said could have been true, it seems like there were ulterior motives to this. And the
It
problem is there are
also
a lot
seems
of
like things got settled behind the scenes too, it looks like.
but that's the thing.
Literally never came back out and said
It
anything.
never came back out, and it pissed me off because there are many people who are suffering. So you're really not about the solution. You're
Fixing
really about yourself,
it.
because you're not thinking about those people who are coming behind you. You're just thinking about yourself. And that's what bothered me. And not only that, V. Lenora, do you know that there are not that many black billionaires? So
Right.
people are saying, well, is it Byron Allen?
Right.
Is it because you got these black billionaires and you never absolve them of doing it? Because people can still say it could have been the man who give all the money to the HBCU.
Robert Smith. I think he was talking about Robert Smith and Tyler Perry. And, he also mentioned a woman. I have a woman in mind that I think he could have been talking about too. But I thought, wow, is he talking about three people or two people? Because it sounded like he was saying three different people.
But the
That,
thing that bothers me is so few black billionaires. So you put all of them
yeah.
in question,
Yeah.
and they may not have anything to do with this.
Yeah.
And so you being selfish Not only have you hurt the victims, but these people that could be accused, they're still out there. You got what you wanted, and now you moved on, and we haven't heard from you. And you said it wasn't about the money. You said that you were going to go to the police. And when y'all notice, I'm only hearing what you said. And the thing is, you have a platform. How many of these victims don't have a platform?
Yeah.
But you have a platform. And I just have a problem with what's going on. And
He
speaking of
also
that,
was coming out here talking about his current employer. I mean, possibly. I mean,
mhm,
allegedly. His current employer. I don't know. That was risky. All that he did, and I see what you're saying. It does look self-serving in the end,
it
because
does.
I do feel that, and he said that the Cassie thing is what kind of motivated him. I'm sure if you've gone through something similar, you thought to yourself, well, hell, I should have, if she got 30 or whatever she got, I should have probably said something. So maybe that would, it does
But the
look
thing
like that's what he
is,
was trying to do.
she went to the authorities
Yeah, she did.
and
Yeah.
she turned over evidence. He
Did.
didn't do that.
Yeah.
He just made a threat. He just made a threat.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between him and Cassie, because Cassie had the boldness to say this is what happened and turn over stuff. He didn't do that. It's so much going on, and again, this is what I'm saying. It's a lot of stuff going on. So now Jonathan Majors now have an issue because now two more women are coming up to say that he did the same thing to them.
Yeah.
Now this is going to be interesting. But I really had a problem with the Jonathan Majors thing, and until I see what these women have, I still am not going with that story because again, we saw that lady jump on him. We saw
Right.
that lady hit him, and
Right.
the limo
Never saw
driver
him do
said
anything to her other than
that,
try to reach into the car. And the person in the car, the driver, said he didn't do it. Yeah, he didn't
that's
hurt
the
her.
thing. And then you see her talking to people.
Yeah.
Okay, and then she goes to the bar. Her hand ain't broken on at the bar.
Yeah.
She going in a purse, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden when you get home, she laid out
On
and
the floor.
unconscious. See that kind of stuff right there. And but it's tricky because now you got two people saying that he has, and I'm really, really willing to hear what they have to say. But when it comes to that situation with that lady,
Hmm.
I know what the camera has shown,
I don't know.
and
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
and then the bottom line is we see her being the aggressor
Right.
on
Right.
the camera, but
Because
we
he's
don't see him
running
being the
away.
aggressor on
She
the
was
inside.
running behind him.
That's
Everything more
correct.
aggressive.
So
Yeah.
my thing is, why you go? So they don't charge him on the outside of the vehicle. They're gonna charge him on the inside of the vehicle, and I think that's messed up because on the inside of the vehicle, the only witness you have is the driver. So if we're gonna really go by this evidence, the driver said that she was being aggressive, not him.
Right.
And we can't see that. So why even charge it? I would have said, I'm sorry. But none of y'all ain't gonna get nothing. Because at the end of the day, we see him walking away, we see you hitting on him. And then on the inside, we can't see this. We see clearly that nothing's wrong with your finger, and you didn't have no scratch on your your neck or anything when you were talking to those men. But then all of a sudden he gets home and you fall out. And that's never been explained clearly of how that happened.
Hmm.
So that's me. But again, Jonathan Major, you a black man with money and power. And I hate to say it, but you're dealing with a Caucasian female. And again, we may say that we're not we colorblind and all that. We're not. We are
No, no,
not. And
no.
and those old stereotypes are still embedded and ingrained in people. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. And it's not being racist, it's being true. Because if that was the case, then when I walk past the white woman, she shouldn't be grabbing her purse. I have a suit and tie on. Do you think I'm gonna snatch your purse?
Right.
So those thoughts are still there and they're ingrained. So those are my thoughts. Go ahead, V. Lenore.
No, I was just gonna say, a couple of weeks ago, I interviewed AJ Sanders. She was a cast member on A Different World. She's a stand-up comedian. She's very vocal about things like this that happen, and she was following the Jonathan Majors thing very closely. And she and I, when she was on the show, I talked to her. I said, well, what did you think about that situation? Because to me, like she had mentioned, I want to say at some point in our conversation that we had talked about the fact that sometimes these people in Hollywood will build you up and then show you that they can tear you down just as quickly as they built you up. My question was,
Correct.
if that's what's going on with him, because look, the fact that two more women have come out, they obviously is trying to bury this dude. So what exact who did he piss off, and how is he that important that they want to go this far to destroy him like this? Like I don't personally care for the dude, to be quite honest. He just seems weird to me. But that doesn't
Mhm.
he's definitely an abuser. Like I don't know that to be the case, but I do think he's odd. I feel like he's I think he's odd, and I don't understand his relationship with Megan Good, but that's neither here nor there either. But I just wonder, what did he do to piss people off so bad that they're literally trying to bury him?
Yeah. And let me say this to Paulette Water Stay Line. I'm not saying that women don't lie. I try to go with them because I do know, but I'm looking at video and I'm looking at this stuff and you know, and I'm seeing what I see. It is crazy, you all. It's a lot of stuff happening. And I think we need to keep our eyes open. Y'all, it's a lot of abuse in Hollywood, and not only Hollywood, but even in the I hate to say it, but even in the gospel music realm, oh my God, you talk about casting couches, you haven't heard the last. I'm telling you, it's a lot of stuff that's going on. And I'm looking at these new artists coming up, and
Mm.
you know, I don't know if you watch PBS, but PBS had a gospel thing with Skip Gates. It was very good. But I'm looking at these new artists, and I'm like,
Mm.
and there have been gatekeepers, you all. I ain't gonna lie.
Oh, for sure.
This is why I never wanted to be in the music industry. I don't care if I'm same gender loving or not, but baby, it was some gatekeepers there too. And I just think that we have to. Um, this is why I can look at Monique's situation. Is Monique perfect? No.
Hmm.
She's not. No one is. But do I think that she's lying? No. Do I think she's bitter? No. Monique said, I just want people to take ownership of their mess. I just want people to be honest. And not only has Monique been saying this, but Della Reese has been saying this. Black women have been saying this for years. Black men too, but especially black women. They've been saying this for years. Monique is not the first person, and the only reason why Taraji P. Henson is getting the sympathy that she's getting because she was broken. And Monique wasn't broken. Monique came out of the thing of, I'm standing up and I do have my husband near me and we gonna talk about this.
But I think let's be clear about something. I think maybe Monique was broken. I think the problem was they didn't like the delivery of the very same message and the packaging that it came in. And
Mhm.
that is unfortunate. And people they can say, oh, I see people for who they are. No, people get caught up in the fact that Taraji, the way she literally cried in front of us and she was softer with it, as opposed to Monique. She came out here and she blasted everybody, but I think that's still brokenness. You know what I mean? I think she
Mhm.
hurt
I think it's
because
broken.
she was
But I'm
trying to
tell you
stand
what,
up.
Cat Williams ain't a dumb man because you know what? Everybody who done went on Shay Shay or done talk is on his. Let me tell you something. Is on his comedy tour. Kevin Hart's wife,
Yep.
ex-wife rather.
Tori.
Now Monique.
Yep.
Cat Williams is brilliant, a genius. And I know people are pissed off at him, but if you gonna do it that way, do it. But let me say this: these people got receipts. When Monique, can you believe that Will Packard had Monique in that trailer, and that trailer blew up, and
Oh,
Monique had receipts and posted them.
yes, I
And
saw it.
it's just like, this is bull crap.
I don't understand how that happened. I'll be honest. I don't even understand how that stuff happened with the Color Purple cast, where they didn't have food, they didn't have their own trailers, they didn't have. I mean, none of that makes sense. They didn't have
Mm-mm.
drivers. Like, what the hell's
Yeah.
going on
Let me
here?
say this though. I really do believe, Monique. I do believe that there are gatekeepers, and I do believe that sometimes we treat our own people worse than other folk.
That's true.
I do, and I mean, you know, we done went through the struggle, and what Monique said really makes sense with Oprah, and it's really interesting because Monique really looked up to Oprah, and I think that's the really disappointing part about it because Monique was in Baltimore when Oprah was a newscaster in Baltimore,
Yeah,
and she looked at Monique because again, Monique was saying she wasn't skinny,
yeah.
you know, she was a big lady, and she looked up because it gave her hope that I could do this, you know. But what Monique said, that you can't tell me that I shouldn't complain about my financial situation because you left Baltimore because you found out that that white man was getting paid $55,000 more than you. and
Mm.
you didn't think it was right, and you moved on to Chicago. So why can you do what you do and I can't do what I do?
Yeah, it's
And I think
hurtful to hear all of this because look. I don't know these people. I don't know Oprah, but it's hurtful when I hear things like that about the people that you have admired. But at the same time, we got to understand everybody's human and nobody's perfect, and this should
no,
a lesson to that as well. Let's
no. But
remember
let me
these
say
people are
this.
human beings.
But you gotta listen to what people say, and
You
I
do.
have been listening. Tyler Perry fired all of his staff because he could do all the writing and stuff. Tyler Perry don't want to pay nobody, and when he did that acrimony, it was a mess. It was a mess. How you gonna go from community college to law school? Really? Where you getting an associate degree to go to law school? See, again, it's those little nuances that say you do need help. But again, you wanna keep all the money and you don't want to share the wealth. So this is what you do. Let's go back to Precious. Monique said, I said no. Let me tell you about Gabby, who
Mm-hmm.
played Precious.
Mm-hmm.
She complained because she said that they didn't even have her ready. She said she went over there to France and they had no makeup, no nothing for her. And she went to the Gap. She said she went to Old Navy to get her clothes, and she was thoroughly embarrassed. She talked about her situation with Lee Daniels and Leon Talley, God rest his soul, but they call her fat and black, and she heard it on the telephone. So she was very disappointed, and she couldn't understand that these were two fat and black men here, and why are they upset that she's going to be on Vogue? So she's had that, and she only validated what Monique said. And so I understand that people think that Monique may be bitter and all of this stuff, but I think Monique is just telling the truth. I was really mad at Lunell because Lunell got up there and said that she agreed with Taraji, but it was how Monique did it. Come on, Lunell. Are you serious? The
I
bottom line is people don't like dark black folk, and like she said, fat folk demanding justice and demanding something else. Who are you to tell me XYZ? And then when you have your own people saying that they the head NIC, then you look at like, are you serious? And I think the bigger picture, V. Lenore, is that, yeah, these are millionaire problems, but this is happening in our public spaces right now. How
absolutely.
many of us have worked better than somebody, and then you see somebody who don't even have a degree, white, making all of this money and getting promoted and be on cigarette breaks more than they at work,
Mm,
but yet they get promoted.
mm-hmm.
And it's no different. It's no different. Here you are. I have a friend. She's in HR. She's got her PHR. She's got her SHRM. She has a master's degree. And here comes somebody that don't have not one piece of nothing. Vice president of HR, and he has to go to her for everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you get tired of that. You get tired of seeing that. You get tired of people who are so unqualified, and then you got to train them and only so they can be promoted. You get tired of that mess. So I can kind of understand. Let me see what people are saying. Somebody said you have a good point, but in my line of work, many women lie about abuse, relying on the fact that people usually believe the women, some being vindictive and want control. Some of that is true, and but like I said, I will always believe the victim until
Until a
I
reason
try
not
not to
to.
do that. I really want to look at the evidence, but until I see the evidence, I'm going to try to go with the victim until I see the evidence and hear both sides of the story. And I think that would be smart. The smart associate, she was bitter and she demonstrated it. She had a right to express. Somebody said, I think this guy just crossed the line and drew public sympathy under two, and now they're coming for him. Okay. Somebody said, hey, Pastor Ma, Diva Law, the smart show. Hey, let me see what y'all saying. No actress don't get paid for you to promote the movie you in. So she was wrong for that. Do you think it's because Monique comes across as abrasive and she's more polarizing? I think she comes, look, let's look at Donald Trump. Do you think he comes off as abrasive and polarizing?
Yeah,
But
he's
people
just more
celebrate that.
acceptable because he's a rich white man. You know
Uh,
what I mean?
Look at the lady Anna Winters of Vogue. Do you don't think she's polarizing?
For
But
sure.
because she's a white woman,
Yeah.
we give them a pass.
Yeah.
Look at John McEnroe. He was a whole fool when he used to play tennis, but Serena Williams get mad off of a call that was truly a bad call, and look at what they do to her.
Yep.
See, I don't play that stuff, you all.
Yep.
I think Monique had every right to say what she said. Like Cat Williams have every right to say. And the sad part about it is these people are only proving what she's been saying to be true.
Yeah.
And that's it. Let's look at the Rosa Parks situation. The young girl stood up way before Rosa Parks, but because she was pregnant, out of wedlock, and dark, they went with light skin. And I hate to get with the colorism, but let's call a spade a spade.
Mm-hmm.
Rosa Parks would have been more palatable to the
Mm-hmm.
people, and that's who they used.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we have to watch that. And this is why I think we need to be very careful. And this is what gets me when people start getting with that colorist stuff, because everybody is involved in colorism. You can be dark and be discriminated against, but then you can be light and be discriminated against, because then your own folk be like, well, XYZ. So again, we have been so uh uh so
And
groomed into
yep.
this stuff. And again, we know what slavery has caused. We know who was in the house.
Yep.
We know how they had people to do XYZ. And I think that people have to take responsibility to know, you know what, if I'm a lighter hue, I know that I have special privileges, but don't get it wrong. I'm still black to these people as well. I know XYZ and I call it out. I call it out. I mean, that's what you got to do. I mean, but see, we are so many shades. We're so many shades. I mean, I'm not dark and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not light either. I'm right in between that area. But
Mm-hmm.
I have been accused of, well, you safe for people because you ain't too dark, too light. I have heard that, you all.
Y'all
When I
done
was in my
said that about me, and it's you look. My mouth is treacherous in these streets. I had never felt to me, and when I say these streets, I mean in real life. I'm that
Mhm.
vocal black woman in the workplace, in the community, always speaking up about some stuff, and I always feel like I come across, that they're looking at me, judging me as the aggressive, mad black woman.
Mhm.
So it's so funny to come out on YouTube and everybody's like, oh, you must think you can do this because you're light skinned, or you with the child and be thinking like that. Not to say that I don't recognize that those things happen, not to recognize that I probably have a privilege at times to be in rooms and at tables that others may not. But trust and believe, when I'm in those rooms and at those tables, my mouth does not stop. I still say the truth, and I will still stand up against what is wrong. And
And,
it is
and
what.
think about those people who could pass. I
Yeah.
have a friend in Florida, and she looks white, but
Mm-hmm.
she's not. She doesn't identify as. And
Mm-hmm.
if she could tell you what people say in the rooms when folk ain't there, and
Mm-hmm.
how she has to get folk together,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
y'all don't understand. There are people who are lighter than V. Lenore
Yeah.
who can really pass,
Yeah.
who have
I
been
had an
passed.
uncle that passed for years, passed for years. And he was actually my father's brother, and he was living in California, in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, passing as white man. It is a mess. So I know that this
Mhm.
happens. And I also understand why some black people did that, early, in the early 1900s. I could see how maybe they felt that they had to do that, or you know, I always that's one of the things I loved about watching Queen, when Halle played Queen, and it really sort of depicted how what her life was like. She could pass over here, and they find out she's black, and they were doing her, dirty.
But
And
you can go to the black people, because now the black people, and you can't help how you were born. That's the whole thing. I look at my 23 and me, and it's 80% black and it's 20% something else. And it's like, that's something else, and I'm like, I know my ancestors didn't have control over that.
right.
I know they didn't have control over that. I know the situations that they were in. And so we have to really look at this thing, because one thing that I can say that the 1% does well is divide people. If
Mm-hmm.
we can get you fighting against yourself, then we win.
Ex-
Even with poor white folk don't get it. That man ain't thinking about you all. I mean, he was going he was going to put the person who started the opioid mess over the czar team for opioids. So that means to me, he wants you on the stuff still.
Mm-hmm.
And these people don't get it. And I tell people, do not go against your interest. Don't go against your interest. Am I gung ho about Democrats? Hell no. But at the end of the day, they serve my interest.
Well, you know what's funny? You brought up a point. It reminds me of like the Reagan era. Reagan had the whole "Just Say No to Drugs" campaign and stuff, but was also had the CIA dropping the drugs in the black community, the crack in the black community
Come
for
on,
us to
come
sell and
on.
use.
Come on. See, again, we don't see that. I get so mad at people. I'm like, why are they getting meth clinics and they got methadone all in the vending machines and Narcan to
Vending
help people?
machines.
Yeah.
What?
Let me say, yeah, so if somebody is having a episode that they can get the Narcan to help the people who on meth or those opioids where they won't die. They have that. They really do, and they have these methadone clinics. When did they have a crack clinic? See, when it's the black folk,
Right.
three
They,
strikes you
they don't
out,
care.
and we
They
going to jail.
criminalize it when it's black people, but it's a cause when it's white folks. You know.
That's it. That's it. So when it's black people on crack, it was three strikes you out, and you go to jail.
Yep.
But now when it's white people, it's an illness,
Yeah.
it's a sickness, and we justify the mess
Yeah.
because meth at the time and fentanyl and those opioids at the time were a white thing. It was not a
Yeah.
black drug
Yeah.
like
Well,
crack was.
I'll be honest, I had never, and I'm not saying, look, I'm not in the streets like this, so I couldn't tell you anyway. But until I got to YouTube, I had no idea black people were really using meth. So until there was a Tim Blaine telling his story and Misunderstood telling her story, I literally was like, what? Black people are using meth? Like, I had no idea.
But what's
It
really
was a white
interesting,
drug.
but what's interesting about that is both of these individuals live in California.
That's true too. That's
And both of these individuals were with a lot of white people for
true.
the most part.
Yeah.
So again, because I'm not saying that there ain't no meth in the South,
Right.
but that ain't the choice of drugs.
Or in New
So
York, probably. That's probably not the way it would work there either. So yeah, you're
yeah.
right. You're right.
So you look at those kind of things, but I just think it's sad that white people get the help. And then this is what I'm saying. You can't play that colorblind thing. You can't say that we're equal in America because if we were equal in America, when those people were on crack, they should have been given the same consideration to have crack clinics
Mhm.
but no, what black people got was three strikes and you're out. So
And
if you get
yes,
caught, you go right to jail with serious, extreme sentences for doing crack. And again, that
use
was a
not
Clinton thing too.
selling
So don't get me
purpose.
with the Democrats because that was a Clinton thing and it pissed me off with him. And so I want you to know I ain't gung ho with all these Democrats because he did some stuff too.
Yeah.
But that's what bothered me. And now we're seeing white people on oxycodone and meth, but yet they have a chance to get clinics and stuff. And so I don't see the equality in that
Yep. I agree.
because they would be in jail by the droves. And
Absolutely.
I want to say one thing too, and maybe you can verify and reinforce. I lived in Ohio. There
Mm-hmm.
was a town, Middletown, Ohio. They
Mm-hmm.
had an AK Steel plant. When AK Steel shut down, and this town was probably about 90% white.
Mm-hmm.
When that town shut down, people started getting on drugs. Crime started happening. And
Mm-hmm.
see, we want to act like black people are savages and not. Whenever you take job opportunities from people,
Mm-hmm.
whenever you take people economic stability, then you're going to get drugs, you're going to get crime, and I don't care what color you are. We
Mm-hmm.
don't cover West Virginia. We don't cover those parts of Ohio. But what we will do is cover Detroit. We'll cover Chicago. We'll cover these cities, but we won't cover Springfield, Ohio, where John Legend is from, which is predominantly white. We won't cover Richmond, Indiana, which is a meth haven. We won't cover the east side of Dayton, Ohio. We'll cover the west side of Dayton, which are crack, but we won't cover the meth on the east side of Dayton.
Mhm.
We won't cover those states that border West Virginia, the Ohio border that touches West Virginia. We won't go to Appalachian, Pennsylvania. But
Mhm.
we will see, and we're going to be fair. We need to be fair. And I think that's the problem because we only see what the news media gives us. But as a person who lived in these regions, I know firsthand how meth and these opioids have really hurt these people. Do you not know, V. Lenora, that these people can't even hire folks because they can't even pass the drug test?
Yeah.
So
No.
jobs can't even hire these people because they can't pass the drug test.
Yep. Yep.
So somebody said, why are we mad at other people who unite and take care of their own? We do because we're Americans. See, I don't have a problem taking my own, but we're Americans. We are Americans first. I was born here and I'm entitled to the same things that other people have who are born here. This is why I have a problem with the immigration. We didn't have a problem taking Italian and Irish people into Ellis Island. We had a way. If you were sick, you went back. If you was a criminal, you went back. So we let all of these Irish and Italian people and Eastern European people into the United States. And the same complaints that they had then, there are enough jobs. They're not, we blended them in and it was more than enough jobs.
Mhm.
So my thing is, why aren't we doing the same thing with these people? Well, maybe because they're now brown people and we don't want to process them.
Mhm.
And then we want to say people taking our jobs. Y'all ain't working them pea patches. Y'all ain't in there picking cane,
You,
and you ain't building roofs and stuff. You ain't working in carpentry anymore because you know what? The man ain't paying you the money. So you're not going to go where the people ain't paying you. So we got to realize that America and the corporate Americans, they thrive off of cheap labor.
yep.
So we're blaming the wrong people.
Yep.
Who we need to be looking at crazy are the people who hire those people and cheap labor.
But the truth is, as Black people, we were better off when we were living a more segregated life. To be quite honest, when we
Mm.
when we were in, now I don't think that the country needs to be segregated. Let's be very clear. I think
I get what you're saying.
you should have the right to do and live and be where you want to be. But when we were literally, we have more ownership, we had more entrepreneurship, we were, we had our own communities and we took care of ourselves and each other. And then when they saw that happening, they destroy it, and I don't understand why we don't see that. Why are
Let me
we
tell you something. Tulsa,
each other?
Rosewood, Miles
Yes.
Biden,
Yes,
Overtown in Miami, they destroyed those.
Oklahoma, Tulsa.
They destroyed those prosperous towns. So
Yes.
don't say that Black people, if we pick our stuff, no, Black people have done that. But every time they've done that, it's been torn down because again, it proves that we can do it. Just like Serena Williams and Simone Biles. If you give us a chance, we'll show you we can do it. And
Right.
I bring them up because it gives you that determination that we can do it. Not only that, but our segregated schools produce probably more doctors and lawyers than these schools that we have now.
Amen.
Because again, those teachers was no joke. Them teachers wanted you to succeed.
That's right. In fact, they talked. I was looking at some stats recently that was talking about that the most Black doctors and lawyers and our highest level professions within our community come from HBCUs.
Correct.
And so that's another reason why we need to support them more. I really wish I had attended one, and I really, really wanted my son to attend one, but it just didn't happen for us. But I know I would. I would have loved to have gone. And I think that there's a sense of pride that folks have when they're able to learn about their own history and be able to encourage and have the examples that I'm sure that those professors were to those students in those.
That's correct. And all my teachers were not Black. I had teachers from all over the world. I had more Jewish professors, which is
What?
something that we don't realize because Jewish people could not work at some of these prestigious white schools. And
Oh,
guess where they
wow.
had to go to get their job? Black schools. That's why you got Nikki Haley daddy working at Voorhees College, which is in South Carolina, because he couldn't get no job nowhere else. So Black colleges have been a haven of diversity and helping people who were marginalized. And see, we don't realize that. Do you not know that white people get scholarships for
Yeah.
being minorities
Oh,
on
the
black
HBCU.
campuses.
I can't do that. I can't understand that one. I don't like it. That's crazy to
But
me.
they do. And see, and black people don't have a problem with that.
I
Our
do.
whole tennis team was white and Israeli with a few black people on there at Norfolk State. But
Really?
nobody ain't saying nothing about it because we understood that that's the diversity and the piece of it. And let me say this, B. Lenore is right. Most of our entertainers, HBCUs. Most of HBCUs, entrepreneurs, HBCUs. Very few have gone. And I'm telling you, this is why I can't deal with the Clarence Thomas people, and because they benefited from affirmative action.
Yes.
I was telling somebody Clarence Thomas was very radical, but when he started seeing black men go to jail and get beat, you know what he said? I
Mhm.
believe he said it's better to join them. I mean, you can't beat them, join them. And I feel that he has had can't beat them, join them attitude. And this is why we have what we have. Let me say this, T Breeze. I think those people need to go home. And I think, and let me talk about this immigration thing, and they're beating up police and doing crimes. A lot of them are Venezuelans who are doing it. And I've been really following that. But had we had an immigration process where we have enough judges to hear cases and do the Ellis Island situation where we can do background checks on these people, I think a lot of this stuff wouldn't be happening. But when you have Republican governors flying people out to different parts of states that are liberal without checking them, you're bound to have this situation. And I think the system is broken. And for the mere fact now that the Republicans will not push this immigration bill, which was, I mean, the Democrats hated it. But I believe that the Democrats was calling their bluff. And Donald Trump said, no, whose fault is it now? See, again, you can't play them games because you got a group of people who work bipartisanly to get this stuff passed. And now you're going to say, and y'all were with it, but then Trump said, no, because I need to run on this in 2024. And now all y'all are against it. So if you're a smart American, you can see what just happened.
What was that? You know that's what was her name? What was that black lady's name that just told everybody off on this in Congress about how they sat there and watched them people come and tear up January 6th and everybody's running for their lives, but all of a sudden now they're on his side again. Like it makes sense to
I
me.
can't think of that lady's name, but it's sickening. It's sickening. These people are trying to make this stuff normal.
Mm-hmm.
It's an insurrection.
Yes.
Those people broke into that chamber to
Yes.
stop a democratic process.
Yes. At the
That was not
direction
a
of the
riot.
and
That
the
was an
president.
insurrection. And the president said, fight like hell. And the only
Right.
reason he wasn't there because his handlers didn't want him to be involved. But this man wanted to go to see this mess. Are you
So did
serious?
watched everything that he could watch from behind the scenes when he wasn't there. You know, when they said he couldn't go. He wanted to
Baby,
see that.
if it was some black and Spanish people, it would have been so many casualties. It would have been shooting all over the place if that was us. You know what I'm saying? But white people can do this, and they climbing walls, and they doing all of this, and looking for Mike Pence. Had a whole noose trying to talk about we gonna get Mike Pence, and you don't think that was an insurrection? And you're telling the American people it was just a riot? Bull hockey. You gotta be crazy. I was so when I first saw that, and I'll never forget.
It's scary.
Um, I was at the Mexican American college, Catholic college, and we were talking about racial stuff. Ooh, we were talking about racial stuff, and I don't have a problem with African people, but some African people don't get it. They don't get it. And this man was trying to whitewash this. And I spoke up and I'm like, how dare you? I said, I don't feel that this is doing us any good. I believe that you all are trying to whitewash this to make other people feel good. Here I am now looking at, and again, we were on break when I saw all of this. And I was just like, is this really happening in the Capitol? And I'm like, here I am when we got back saying that These white people are climbing into the window, breaking these things,
Yeah.
trying to do all of this. And I
Yeah.
said, and had it been black people, we would have been shot to death. And people are acting like this is not real. And you're telling me that I'm too much.
They brought a whole large pieces of wood and everything to set up a scene for a lynching. Are you kidding me?
Let me tell you something. And this is why I'm telling black folk. See, and I know people ain't excited about this because it ain't talking about the B sector stuff. But see, baby, this is stuff that's real. This is telling you what these people are really about. When they say we want our America back or we want our country back, this is what they're talking about.
Absolutely.
This is what they're talking about. They are not they are talking about we are threatened by people of color. We feel like they're advancing and taking what we have, not realizing that that same man who told them to go to the Capitol don't care nothing about
About
them.
them.
How many of their court cases have he paid for? Not one. He ain't even helping the people who was with him because all he is about is himself. And these people don't understand this. And I cannot believe that these Republicans are going along with this man, knowing that he is for self. Tim Scott's display and all of that shucking and jiving was disgusting. It was disgusting. And you threw that woman of color, even though I don't care for her either, but you threw that woman of color under the bus, the same woman who allowed you to be a senator, who approved you. What did you do? You threw her under this bus just because gay. You're using this white woman as a prop. So if you get chosen as a VP, because you think you're gonna get chosen as a VP, that you have this beard to help you out. We see it all. And it's not, and you ain't even shrewd with it. And Nikki Haley, for you to say that you don't see race and all of this stuff. And here you are, the governor of South Carolina. People almost nearly had a fit when you took the Confederate flag down. And then to know that your daddy could even get a job at the University of South Carolina because of his beliefs and how he looked. And these black schools, Voorhees College, employed your daddy so he could get the things and open the boutiques and get you educated. If it wasn't for that black school, Nikki Haley, you know good and well, you wouldn't be where you were today. But it was that black small private school in Denmark, South Carolina, not too far from Bamberg, that hired your daddy. And you got the nerve to insult black people? And that's what I don't get, B. Lenore. That's what pisses me off. And see, a lot of black people don't know this. And knowledge is power. And when you start looking how these people are grifters to just do anything to get power at any cost, it disgusts you. It disgusts me how Nikki Haley and Tim Scott and Clarence Thomas are behaving. It's disgusting.
It is disgusting. It is disgusting. Well, I got to go, Jay.
Well, Lenore, I gotta go as well, and I want to thank everybody for coming over. This is the stuff that we need to be talking about. Don't get me wrong. What's up, Treasure Lane? I want to recognize Treasure Lane. He's in. Hey, Treasure. Let me say this. B-sector stuff is fine, you all. I don't have a problem talking about it because we can always learn from it. It's always about the evidence. But this is some stuff that we really, really need to be focusing on because this stuff is going to affect us directly. Y'all didn't think that it was a problem when Donald Trump wanted to give senior citizens box lunches and replace Meals on Wheels? Y'all didn't think nothing was wrong with that? And half of the black people, mama and grandmama and auntie and people at your church be getting Meals on Wheels. And so that's adversely affecting our community. Absolutely. But we don't say nothing about that. And this is why I have a problem with these big old mega churches. Y'all ain't saying nothing. See, King was about social justice. So don't be up there talking about some invoking King and talking about black history, but you ain't doing nothing for social justice. Because if your church, your black church, don't have a division of social justice, I question it. Because my thing is social justice. And I'm talking about social justice. Period. So, B. Lenore,
thank you.
It was really good talking to you. Thank you for coming over. If you need me, all you got to do is email me. I'll try to come on over, but I do appreciate you coming over. And this is how reasonable people talk. You can't
Yeah.
deal with unreasonable people.
Same here. I appreciate you even doing this live, and I received the message wholeheartedly, and honestly I had to check myself in the moment, to be quiet. If you notice the way I didn't respond the way I probably could have, and you probably, if you even seen me do in the past, I just sort of was like, okay, I can't do this. I can't do this energy, and you're right, everything you said I agree with. So
Yeah, it was like a Jerry Springer episode. It's like it's no reason to try to be logical on Jerry Springer. Nobody don't care about logic. All they care about is ratings and sensationalism, and that's all that was about. They don't care about logic.
right.
You don't like her anyhow, and no, you can't talk. No, you can't talk because I'm talking. I'm like, well, damn. The lady just came up and said hello.
Exactly.
That's all you
Okay,
said. I'm like, golly, it's not like you came up with an attitude.
I
You
did.
came up like, hello. And all of a sudden, it was like a whole new spirit in there. I'm like, well, damn, what did Lenore do? And I'm like, Lenore, I don't even know why you even attempted to do that. Because I said, you can't reason with unreasonable people. And that's
Yeah,
what I saw. So, but hey, you live and learn.
that's
And
right.
on this little journey, I'm sure we all are going to have to learn. But my thing is, I'm not here to go back and forth with people.
Mhm.
Either you're part of the problem or part of the solution. Either you're about peace or you're about strife. Either you're about truth or a lie. And that's the bottom line. So thank you again, V. Lenora.
Thank you. You have a great weekend. Okay.
You all have a great weekend. I'm getting ready to head on out. Peace and love. Y'all take care.